Yeah, I think Loyola Marymount's a really good shooting basketball team. It's really weird when you go back and you look at the stats. It seems like made 23s and did a really good job and shot 50% from the field. But when you go back and you look at the stats, you see that they made 10 threes, and the fact that they shot like 32% from the three-point line and shot 37% from the field overall, and we didn't foul them very much. So I think the biggest problem comes from things on our end of not being disciplined in our rotations. We jump and gamble way too much, and that creates opportunities for the other team. And I think the biggest thing that hurt us is when we got a stop or we got a turnover, that we didn't take advantage of that stop or the turnover. They're a team that presses a lot, and so I thought we handled the press really fine. There was no turnovers from the press, but maybe one or two. But I thought the majority of our turnovers were unforced turnovers, and that's the thing that's concerning to me.
What is it you kind of see from your guys that leads to the undisciplined? You know, it's obviously a mental thing somewhat. So what do you kind of notice about them?
Well, I think it's hard because it's coming from a situation where they've probably been in high school and been in junior college and been the best athlete and been able to gamble and still go back and make a play, or that gamble led to something positive for them, whether steal or a turnover. So I think now at this level, when you're playing against good players, you know, when you gamble, it creates opportunity for the other team, and I think that's the last thing that we want to do is create offense, you know, for the other team. So I just think that this is the first time they've been in the system like this, and we just got to make sure that we're staying sound and staying disciplined. And I think if we can start doing that, then they can see the fruits of our labor.
They knocked down 10 threes. I know it did seem like more, but what did you see when they were able to get the open threes? Obviously, they'd missed quite a few as well. What?
I thought it mostly happened off of our mistakes. I didn't think there was anything that they did. Now, they got a really good shooter that they kept in the corner, and I thought we made some adjustments there of not going out and guarding the wing and staying in that corner a little bit, but he still hit some contested threes, too. He's a really good shooter. That's what they do. They shoot threes. But I thought we made some adjustments, but I thought most of their threes came from us not doing the things that we needed to do in our defensive rotations and our defensive principles.
Down to at halftime, what was the message to the guys? What did you point out to them in that break?
Well, I think we've got to do a better job of, like, it's like when we're down like 2 at the halftime, it seems like when we come out on the court, our disposition is that we're down by 10. And I just think that we get to a point where it seems like it's an insurmountable deficit to come back from, and it's really nothing. So I just think that our approach and our attitude to being down has got to change.
You guys, offensively, you know, what did you see? Did you feel like you were getting the shots you wanted? Did you?
No, I think what happened was they were switching all of our screening action, and then when they switched all the screening action, it kept us out on the perimeter. And I didn't think we did a really good job of doing the things that we want to do, which was to undercut or tight cut on those screens and come back hard to the ball and drive the ball. I thought in some of that time we were coming back, we got opportunities at the rim because we were driving the basketball. So we talk about it being Pam. I thought the ball was sticking way too much and the ball wasn't being reversed. We needed much more ball movement, and so in order to break the defense down. So I thought their switching all the screens right there really bothered us, and it made us be complacent instead of just reversing the basketball and then get some attacks.
What was your message to the guys after this game? What do they need to take away from this one moving forward?
Well, I know they're frustrated. I know the coaching staff is frustrated, but we got to make sure, like, what are we talking about? What is our frustration level? And more importantly, is like each person needs to look in the mirror and ask themselves, are they doing everything they can to help the team? You know, not themselves, but the team, and that's including the coaching staff. Every game, every day, you got to go through a self-examination and find out what you can do to help the team be better. And if we have that attitude that we're going to do that, then we'll end up being fine. But if we're going to start pointing fingers, coaches at players, players at coaches, players at players, then it becomes a problem. So I don't think we're there at all, but just wanted to make sure those guys understand that, hey, I'm frustrated just as well as they are. We all want to win, but at the end of the day, we can still be a good team.
When you talk about that frustration, not being to the finger pointing, situation yet. You know, as a coach, how much do you think about the way that losing wears on guys and getting to that point? I mean, is that something that you worry about frequently?
Well, I think everybody does. You never want to say like that some of these games are, you know, insignificant or anything like that. But, you know, here's the bottom line. This is probably the first game that we've had our whole team together. And then on top of that, you're talking about like Jamal Calvin still not being 100%. Eric got cleared today, the day of the game, but he had not any sort of 5-on-5 contact. So I was a little afraid how he would react to his first contact in a week being in a game. So I was a little nervous about that. So I think once we get all our pieces intact, we figure out our rotations, we figure out how each individual guy can help the team, and the team starts to figure out how they can help themselves out there. We just don't have any sort of a flow yet because we've been playing with so many different lineups. So, you know, that's not to make an excuse, but it's just like, hey, we got to make sure we understand that we've gone through some trials and tribulations. But some of these have been self-inflicted wounds, you know, so we got self-inflicted wounds. We got to make sure that we learn from it and grow from it. But I think when we get our team together and we get some continuity, we'll be fine.
When you talk about self-inflicted things, you talked about some things before, the trends that you see. I mean, is there one thing where you feel like if we can get this figured out, things will kind of start to fall into place a little bit?
Well, I think those transgressions were in the past, so I don't think there's anything that's ongoing or anything that was present. So I think we're fine in that regard.